Now, I've been talking about this all day because I watched the trailer this morning for this film that's coming up tonight, and the director is joining us. The film is called If I Should Fall, and Brendon Culliton is the director. Welcome to the show, Brendon. Appreciate. I understand you just made it here from the ceremonies.
Yeah, I made a point to be at the cenotaph today as well.
It's a good reason to be late. It's okay.
You're allowed.
Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us here today. So, If I Should Fall, set this up for us. Tell us what this is about.
Well, the story itself is about Trooper Mark Diab, who is with the Royal Canadian Dragoons, and he was killed in Afghanistan in 2009 by an improvised explosive device. So the way we sort of approached the film was through telling the story of one, we want to tell the story of many. You know, like, how do you tell the story of 158 soldiers? Through telling the story of one, we aim to, you know, tell the universal story of loss in a lot of ways. So, and the film does that. So.
In a very, very powerful way too. How did you find Mark's story? What was it that drew you to Mark's story?
Well, it was really, you know, just happenstance, the way things seemed to unfold. My father, Paul Culliton, who's a producer on this project, we just sort of got talking over dinner one night and decided, you know, we want to make something that will give Canadians a context for what our soldiers are doing in Afghanistan in a lot of ways. So in that sense, we set out and tried to find people to interview who are involved with the Afghan war. And through a good friend of ours, Mike Richards, he got us in touch with the Diab family, and then we did the interviews. And then following that initial day of doing the interviews, we sort of stepped back and we said, you know, there's something here to this story alone. There's something so emotionally powerful that we could, you know, help turn that into a feature-length documentary, which is what you see here today. So.
What was the one thing, when you were making the documentary, what was the one thing that surprised you the most that you learned about Mark?
Well, you know, what the documentary tries to portray is that our Canadian soldiers, they're, you know, they're brave young men and women, but they're still very much human. And that's something that oftentimes when we see people in uniform, you know, we see them as the profession that they represent, but we can't, it's important to remember that they're still emotional, they're still vulnerable, they're still very much like us. So in that sense, the film, you know, it tries to put a face on that. So for me, you know, it was interesting being able to meet with the comrades of Mark on a one-to-one level. And to realize that, you know, these are young guys, the same age as me, and these are people who I could see myself like playing hockey with on a Saturday afternoon in a lot of ways, right? Despite the fact that they're the ones who are over there representing our country and helping others.
Obviously, through talks with his family and friends, you learned a lot about Mark. Who is Mark?
Well, the interesting thing about the story is that Trooper Mark Diab, like, he was born and raised in Lebanon, which is a war-torn country. So for him to come here and decide to serve his new nation of Canada and to go across the world and to help others in other war-torn countries, that says a lot about who he is. You know, like, he understands that freedom isn't free, so to speak. So he in himself was a leader. He was a very strong individual within his community and even amongst his comrades. And a lot of that is represented in the film, and especially in his in the interviews that we conducted with his family. The fact that they were so willing and so adamant to share his story, I think reflects a lot on Mark's personal character and you know, their connection to understanding that they want to share this story because it's something that Mark would want them to share with people. So. Now
I understand you did the documentary was shown at CFB Petawawa where Mark was stationed. Yeah. What was the reaction from his comrades?
That was a very, very powerful day. That was, you know, we just sort of had it in almost like an open hangar. So there's close to about 450 men and women, like all there in uniform, like all soldiers and members of the base. And by the end of it, you know, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And they gave a standing ovation, and you know, they were really proud to be a part of that story, because the story, again, it's not just about Mark, it's about all the Canadian soldiers who are still serving today. So.
Brendon, we thank you so much for, first of all, putting this together for us and offering a free public showing tonight. Thank you so much. Okay, you can check out the free public showing of If I Should Fall tonight at the Wolf Performance Hall at 7 o'clock. And for more information on If I Should Fall, just check out the website ifishouldfall.com.
We find out where your money goes when you buy a poppy when Daytime comes back.